Today you're about to hear a story that might be about you, you just don't know it yet. Just one moment, and her entire story changed.
In a quiet small town in the United States, there was an old church made of red bricks. Most people passed it every morning, on their way to work, school, or errands. But right outside the church steps sat a man named Jack. Jack's clothes were worn out, his jacket had holes, and his shoes looked tired just like him, but his face told a deeper story. A story of struggle, heartbreak, loss. His eyes looked distant, like he was present in body, but his spirit had wandered far away. People noticed him, but they did not really see him. To them he was just a homeless man, just another reminder of how cruel life could be. Some people gave him $1 without looking. Some pretended they did not hear him say good morning. And some simply walked past as if he did not exist. But Jack was not always like this. He once had dreams. A family. Hopes. A future. Now he sat on the cold ground with a small paper cup beside him. Not begging for money, but begging for someone to understand his pain, begging to be seen as a human being again. Every day he whispered to himself, I used to matter, but no one heard him. Not even himself anymore. This was not just a man sitting outside a church. This was a soul that had forgotten its own light. One afternoon the sky was gray and the wind was cold. Jack was sitting in his usual spot, shoulders curled inward, hands hidden in his sleeves, trying to stay warm. Then an elderly man walked up the church steps. His steps were slow and careful, but his presence felt calm, peaceful, almost comforting, like he carried years of wisdom in his silence. He stopped right in front of Ryan, but unlike everyone else, he did not look past him. He looked into him. The old man asked in a soft, gentle voice, Son, why are you sitting here like this? Jack hesitated. His voice was tired, like it had been silent for too long. He said, Because I have nothing left. Life took everything from me. I have no one and no purpose. I am helpless. The old man listened quietly. He did not judge. He did not shake his head. He simply waited. Then he spoke slowly, every word steady and full of weight. No, son, you are not helpless. You have simply forgotten who you are. Jack felt his heartbeat change. Something inside him woke up, a memory, a spark. The old man continued, Poverty is not the lack of money. Poverty is the lack of belief. Jack blinked. No one had spoken to him like that in years. Not with truth, not with respect. The old man gently placed a hand on Ryan's shoulder, a touch that said, I see you. Then he walked away, leaving no money, no food, no charity, just words. But those words, they stayed, they grew, they echoed in the deepest parts of Jack's mind. And for the first time in a low that night, Jack lay in the small homeless shelter on a thin mattress. There was noise around him, footsteps, whispers, coughing, but he could not hear any of it. His mind was somewhere else, stuck in the past, in the life he had lost. The old man's words echoed again and again, You have forgotten who you are. Jack closed his eyes and saw a kitchen table, warm light, the smell of pancakes, his mother smiling at him. She always said, Ryan, your hands are blessed. You see beauty in places where others see nothing. She would watch him draw for hours, paper scattered everywhere, colors, lines, shapes. Every drawing was like a piece of his heart. He remembered how proud she was, how she framed one of his drawings and hung it on the living room wall. She told everyone, My son is an artist. But then life changed. Bills came, medical needs came, then grief came. When she passed away, Ryan felt like someone had pulled the ground out from under him. He kept trying to work, any job, any shift, any hour, but heavy sadness makes even breathing feel difficult. He slowly stopped drawing, then he stopped hoping, then he stopped caring. Tears rolled down his face, but they were not just tears of pain, they were tears of realization. He whispered to himself, his voice shaking but honest. Maybe there is still something left inside me. Maybe the world did not take everything. Maybe I gave up before life was finished with me. A small spark, a tiny flame, but a flame still. The next morning Jack woke before sunrise. The sky was pale and quiet. The world felt still, like it was listening. He walked behind a grocery store and found old cardboard in a recycling pile. He tore it gently into flat sheets. His hands were cold but steady. He went to a local mechanic, a kind man who usually gave him leftover food. Jack asked softly, Do you have a piece of charcoal or something to draw with? The mechanic looked confused, but he searched and handed him a small piece of black charcoal, just enough to draw. Jack walked to the big oak tree near the church, the same place he sat every day, but today was different. Today his hands were not asking, his hands were creating. He placed the cardboard on his knees, took a deep breath and began to draw. At first the lines were shaky, his heart was racing. Doubt whispered, What if you are not good anymore? What if no one cares? What if you fail again? But Jack kept going, stroke after stroke, shape after shape. Memory returned to muscle, muscle returned to skill, skill returned to soul. A picture began to appear, a face of a woman with warm eyes, his mother, the one who believed in him when he had forgotten how to believe in himself. As Jack drew, he did not think of his pain or his loss or the cold. He was simply alive, fully, completely alive. People walked by, some looked, some did not, some whispered and laughed, but Jack felt none of it. Then the little girl arrived, the same girl who Al stared at the drawing, her eyes widened, pure honest awe. "Wow," she said, "this is beautiful. Not forced, not polite, real truth from a child, the most genuine truth of all." At that moment Ryan felt something he had not felt in years. Worth, value, identity. He was not just a homeless man, he was a creator, an artist, a person with something to give. And that was the moment his life quietly, humbly began to change. Days turned into weeks and Jack kept drawing under the same oak tree. He drew faces, memories, skies, hope, pain, love, loss. Every stroke was a piece of his story returning home. People began to notice, not everyone but enough. Some stopped and watched quietly, some asked his name, some smiled in a way that said, "I see you." And then one evening when the sun was low and golden, a woman walked by. She was carrying a stack of books and a canvas bag, her hair tied back loosely. She looked tired but not defeated, kind but strong. Her name was Grace Ellis, an art teacher at a nearby high school. She stopped in front of Jack and did not speak at first. She simply observed his work, one drawing, then another, then another. Her eyes began to shine, not with pity but with recognition. She finally spoke, her voice soft but full of certainty. "This is real art." Jack looked up. He did not understand. He had forgotten how to react to praise. His voice came out small. "I just draw to feel alive." Grace stepped closer and knelt so she was eye level with him. She said, "No, you draw because your heart refuses to die. This is talent, this is soul, this is survival." Jack felt his chest tighten, his throat heavy. Grace continued, "Let me help you, not with money, with opportunity." The next morning she returned with brushes, real paper, a box of colors and a folding easel. She arranged his drawings neatly. She spoke to the owner of a local cafe and within 1 hour Jack had a dish where everyone walking by would see his work. People stopped, people asked questions. People bought artwork not because they pitied him but because his art moved them. For the first time in years Ryan earned money not from open hands but from open hearts. He no longer sat in silence, he spoke, he smiled, he lived. The world had not magically changed but Jack had changed so deeply that the world had no choice but to respond. Winter had ended, spring had begun, the town was full of light and soft breezes. Jack was sitting at his art stand, clean clothes, stronger posture, eyes full of fire and softness at the same time. And then one quiet afternoon he saw him. The old man, the one who had spoken the truth, the one whose words had cracked open his heart. The elder stepped toward him slowly. Ryan stood up immediately, his eyes filled with tears, not of sadness, but of deep, overwhelming gratitude. The elder smiled gently. "You look different now." Jack laughed shakily, his voice breaking. "I remembered who I am. I remembered that I was more than my pain. I was not helpless, I was lost, but I found myself again." The elder placed a hand on Jack's shoulder the same way he had before, but this time Jack was standing tall. The elder spoke. "Life did not change because the world became kinder. Life changed because you chose to rise." Jack felt warmth spread through him, stronger than sunlight, deeper than breath. The elder looked into his eyes and said, "Never forget this, the world only reflects what you believe about yourself. When you believed you were broken, the world broke you. When you believed you were worthy, the world saw your worth." Jack nodded. Tears fell freely, now heavy, beautiful, real. The elder turned to leave. Ryan called out, "Wait, I never asked your name." The elder smiled, his eyes shining with light that didn't belong to this earth. "Names are not important." Disappearing into the evening light, Jack did not chase him. He simply stood there, hand on his chest, feeling his heartbeat, feeling alive.